there and welcome to My Mind. With the recent glimpses into the upcoming ATLA Netflix adaptation, every fan of the original animated show is getting hyped, and I myself am flaming with excitement. But February is in the future, though it is near. For now, I want for us to venture into the past, a dark past, when the light of the Netflix adaptation hath not yet shone, when there was another, earlier attempt at a live action.
General Era.
We know, everyone knows it sucked, yes, but why? I think even just looking and comparing one specific scene can suffice to actually show why the first attempted adaptation failed. Specifically, the North Pole scene of General Zhao in the Spirit Oasis. In this episode, in My Mind, the Admiral, the General, and the Moon. To recap this scene for you lot, Admiral Zhao, former commander, has successfully located the Spirit Oasis and is threatening to kill the Moon Spirit, which is in the form of a fish. Now the show and the live action portrayed this scene quite differently, and in my comparison of the characters' positionings, dialogue, and actions in both versions will demonstrate to us all where the movie fails not only in this scene, but in truth as a whole. Firstly, how the characters are positioned is crucial to priming the scene, and is a key component that may give context at determining the actions and dialogue the characters will act out in the same scene. It sets the scene and really controls what characters may say and do later on as the scene progresses. As if a character is far from a location they need to go to, they'll probably run or walk there, and if they're talking to someone close, given enemies surrounding them, they probably would whisper and huddle near to each other. Positions of characters in a scene sets great precedent for how other parts of the scene make sense to one another. And we see an amazing work of character positioning done in the original show, as it really complements the storytelling and the other aspects that go into a scene. Notice here that the gang are exactly opposite Zhao and his firebenders, as Zhao holds hostage the fish in his threatening hands. This obviously sets the characters as being stark contrasts in their interests to one another. But not only that, this positioning also limits the gang's available actions, which we will discuss in a bit. Since the gang cannot risk closing the gap to fight Zhao, this hostage of the moon gives Admiral Zhao full power and control of events. This sets up and complements not only the available actions for each side, power dynamics, but also the suspense and the tension of the scene. By priming the scene, positioning creates and enhances effective and compelling storytelling. And to add, a third party joins this scene. Aside from the gang and Admiral Zhao, General Iroh presents himself and is positioned somewhat in the middle of the two opposing parties. His positioning is also very symbolic, as we will see and hear in his dialogue and actions. He is being primed to try and be the bridge between the Avatar and the Fire Nation in this scene. This reveal is so impactful given how the story has built him up in the episodes prior. Summing up, in the original show, the gang is opposite to Zhao, as Zhao holds the moon hostage, and General Iroh stands in the middle, symbolically attempting to bridge both parties and interests. Really nice setup, symbolism, and already tells the viewer what the scene is about. This positioning is already more effective and impactful, especially given the dialogue and actions later. However, the attempted live action, and yes, I'm calling it that, was, I suppose, a bit lazy. The focus was entirely on Zhao and Iroh, and the two are standing right next to each other, which is a bit annoying, or actually really annoying, given what will happen later through the course of the scene. But I guess they were going for Iro trying to be the conscience, whispering at the side to the man making a mistake sort of thing. Anyway, the firebending guards are weirdly hidden, but they're there, surrounding random corners of the oasis. But oddly enough, not the entrance, where the not gang arrives, because Aang isn't even in there. It's really a mess, especially given the later actions and dialogue in this very scene. But yes, this positioning does prime Iro to be whispering his opposition and advice to Zhao by his side, and the not gang arrives too late, but there is not much going on here. It's too simple and hardly as impactful as the original show, really. Now moving on to the dialogue, let's again start with the original show. The flow of the dialogue, given the context of the scene, makes sense and is impactful. We hear the gang plead with Zhao to not kill the moon, and that's all they can really do since Zhao is in effect holding the moon hostage.
Destroying the moon won't hurt just the water tribe. It will hurt everyone, including you. Without the moon, everything would fall out of balance. You have no idea what kind of chaos that would unleash on the world.
But what is beautiful about the dialogue in this scene is that it not only builds up on itself, but also pays off the character development seen in prior episodes. This is exemplified by Iroh appearing and standing near the middle, about the middle, acting like a bridge between the interests of the Fire Nation and the Water Tribe, facing Zhao and giving him a possibly more sympathetic view and more concrete reason why the Fire Nation needs the moon to survive as well.
He is right, Zhao.
General Iroh, why am I not surprised to discover your treachery?
I'm no traitor, Zhao. The Fire Nation needs the moon too. We all depend on the balance. Whatever you do to that spirit, I'll unleash on you tenfold! Let it go now!
Showing how he is in tune with the spirits and the world, and loves his own country, the Fire Nation, but also understands the bigger picture of its place in the world. And a little detail, when Iroh threatens Zhao, I think this is a factor why Zhao actually, at least initially, lets the moon spirit go. It is not only fear of Iroh's renowned fighting prowess, but also culture in the Fire Nation to respect and give way to skilled fighters and benders especially. And all in all, the dialogue is beautifully constructed. The flow and build-up and payoff makes sense and heightens the tension of the scene while exploring the characters and giving what they say weight and meaning. Meanwhile,
Why do spirits take the form of such benign things? It leaves them so vulnerable.
To teach man kindness and humility.
again, the dialogue and subject matter conceptually in the attempted live action makes sense, but how it was delivered and directed is just sloppy. Given the positioning which the original used to complement the dialogue with symbolism successfully, this attempted live action was trying to portray Iro as the wise conscience advising the egotistical Zhao against killing the moon. This would have worked if the dialogue itself was of quality.
Why do spirits take the form of such benign things? It leaves them so vulnerable.
To teach man kindness and humility. Commander Zhao, there are certain things humankind should not tamper with. The spirits in the spirit world is one of them.
What are you doing here?
Stop, Zhao! The world will go out of balance. Everyone will be hurt.
The Fire Nation is too powerful to worry about children's superstitions, General Iro.
Commander Zhao. Don't.
We are now the gods. No!
Iro here basically just said vague things that imply the Fire Nation needs the moon as well. But unlike the show, where Iro builds up on what Aang says and uses the subtle cultural influences of the Fire Nation to try and persuade Zhao. Here, Iro just says vague things that are, as expected, not going to be effective at persuading General or Admiral Zhao. Comparatively, one is just clearly inferior writing. Now, the icing on the cake. What actions did the characters take in this scene? Was it compelling and sensible? Does it follow a certain logic of the scene? Or is it just cringe, weird, and just abruptly sudden? Well, the original had the gang lay down their weapons, lay down their attack stance, since Zhao, again, effectively is holding the moon spirit hostage, and they cannot risk attacking. And Iroh, also when he reveals himself, is just such a great thing to see, that he is on the Avatar's side. It's a great payoff really of his character, especially given the previous episodes. And what is very compelling and adds flavor to this scene is when Zhao, as mentioned, actually momentarily listens to Iroh and releases the moon back into the pond. But his pride and desire to be
Zhao the Moon Slayer. Zhao the Invincible.
makes him snap and kill the moonfish. This is another great payoff of the character of Admiral Zhao, as it is consistent with the established personality of Zhao. And another thing that is amazing is after we see the horrified faces of Iroh and the gang, we see Iroh, true to his word, unleash his firebending tenfold on Zhao's troops and win. Then Zhao, in confusion and probably fear, flees the scene. Now let's compare that to the attempted live action. Oh boy. Okay, in terms of the actions done, there is one very particularly catastrophic error in this portrayal of the scene. Iroh, unlike the original, is literally standing right there. The whole time, Zhao is clearly thinking and clearly insinuating of killing the moon spirit without wavering. With no sign at all, Iroh just stands there passively talking and naively hoping Zhao won't kill the moon spirit. And then this happens. Like, I'm literally Yue in this scene, dying of this sheer fucking foolishness. What is... Like seriously, Iroh is literally right beside Zhao within arm's length, and he does nothing but whisper vague things to Zhao to attempt to stop him. Here General Iroh, a renowned Fire Nation general, cannot stop a man from stabbing a very important spirit within arm's length of him. It gets worse. Not only did Iroh's actions not make any sense, what he did next was just... I don't even know what that was and what to say it was about. What is that even for? Not to mention the weird and out-of-place dialogue there, for what purpose that was supposed to be, like intimidating and supposed to be profound? Well, it was just weak, at least compared to the original show, which actually had a good flow and sense of tension. Iroh actually fighting the firebenders, displaying his skills and his wisdom, and actually having good reason why he couldn't just stop Zhao from killing the fish, because he was actually a few feet away. And it also worked for the symbolism of him trying to be the bridge between the two sides. But in the attempted live action, he's literally just standing there and does nothing but talk, and then do this weird flash display that is unclear what the purpose was. To sum up this entire thought of mine, the original show had a good flow, and each aspect of positioning, dialogue, and actions taken makes logical sense and complemented each other to make a compelling and effective scene, portraying the tension between the sides and the development and exploration and paying off of the character developments to the audience. While the attempted live action had these weird dialogue and the actions taken by the characters are just so odd and non-compelling, just not. It's just bland and pathetic, not to mention even blatantly stupid and illogical at times. Like, seriously, Iroh, come on, you're literally right there. Anyway, and that's why the attempted live action, was just so bad in its entirety, because wise and powerful and compelling characters and compelling scenes thus are just made to be bland and half-assed attempts at recreation. Characters do the weirdest and most illogical things, and the scenes don't set up the actions and dialogue properly. These three aspects in the most, if not all, the scenes in the attempted live action just don't jive together. This scene of the North Pole Oasis is the best example of the grandiose flaws of the attempted live action. Truly a disservice to the compelling and impactful character building and the original show's storytelling. And that's why fans such as myself view this movie even more with such disdain, as it truly and utterly fails to live up to the standards of writing and storytelling and scene portrayal that was shown in the original. But in any case, this has been my thoughts here in my mind. Do you think I missed anything at all? Share your own thoughts down below. Thank you for listening, my dear friend. Let us meet here in my mind once again.